Welcome you all. Myself Dr. Sanjay Agrawal. I am an Associate Professor in Electrical Engineering from School of Engineering and Technology. So today I am going to discuss topic DC circuits. So DC means what? Direct current. And circuit means what? Circuit is nothing, it is a combination of different circuit elements. And these elements are denoted as a resistance because we are talking about the DC. So we are taking only the resistive element here. So in this DC circuit, we will discuss different component, like we will discuss about the resistance, we will discuss about the voltage source, current source, what is active circuit, what is a passive circuit, what is a unilateral circuit, what is the bilateral circuit, and after that we will also discuss about the Kirchhoff's voltage law and Kirchhoff's current law. So as first of all we are going to discuss about the circuit. So an electrical circuit is a closed conducting path through which an electric current either flows or is intended to flow. Now just next to the electrical circuit, very close term that is always discussed, that is electrical network. So what is the electrical network? Electrical network is a combination of various electrical elements connected in any manner is called an electric network. So the difference between electric network and electric circuit is only the network may be the open or may be closed, but circuit will always be closed. That means all circuits are network, but it is not necessary that all network are circuits. Now we have to understand what do you mean by the short circuit. So as you know, our short circuit happens when a path of zero resistance is connected between two terminals. The resistor shown here in the figure is the actual path for the current, and the curved wire that you can see in the figure is the shortest path. So short circuit means what? If any wire which is connected between terminal A and B which have zero resistance, then it will be called short circuit. So short circuit means zero resistance, and zero resistance means what? Because as you know, current is directly flow, and due to this high amount of the current, circuit may be damaged because the heat will be developed. It is to noted that current always flows through the least resistance path. So here you can see in the diagram there is one resistance is denoted and there is another curved line is denoted. So there is a resistance and another the curved line which have a zero resistance. So whatever the current will be in the circuit will always flow through the least resistance path, that is short circuit path. Now we have to know what are the circuit elements or the parameter. The various elements of an electric circuit are called its parameter, such as resistors, inductors and capacitor. The term circuit element means component and source. And what are the component? Component may be the resistance, may be the inductance, may be the capacitance. And what are the sources? Sources may be the energy sources, and these energy sources may be the voltage source or maybe the current source. Or these sources, if you are talking about the voltage source, that means you can replace this voltage source either with the help of the cell or with the battery. As you know, here you can see the symbols of the resistance, inductance, capacitance and the battery. What is a battery? Battery is nothing but it is a combination of different cells usually connected in series. Now we have to understand what is the active source and what is the passive source. So before the understanding the active source, we have to understand what is the active element. Active element are the element of a circuit which possess energy of their own and can impart it or to other element of the circuit. So this active source can be classified as voltage source or current source. So here in the figure you can see that one battery has been shown here. So this battery is working as like a voltage source. So this is basically called, this is a active element. That means any circuit which have some active element or which have some energy sources will be called active circuit. So as I told you that active element may be the voltage source or maybe the current source. So a voltage source has a specified voltage across its terminal. It is independent of current flowing through it. Just like a voltage source, there is another source, is a current source. Current source also has a specified current through it independent of the voltage appearing across it. So in the figure you can see there is one battery, another one bulb has been shown. So bulb is taking the energy from the active element, that is a battery. So this bulb is a passive element and the battery or cell is active element. Now again we have to understand what is a passive element. The passive element of an electric circuit do not possess energy of their own. They receive energy from some sources like resistance, inductance and capacitance are the example of the passive source. But charge capacitance may work as a active source also. So passive element takes energy from some active source. So here you can see in the diagram the capacitor, inductor and resistor, that is are the passive element. When electrical energy is supplied to a circuit element, it will respond in one or more of the following ways. It may be suppose resistance is there, so how resistance will work? Resistance will always absorb some energy, so it will be the pure resistor. If energy is stored in a magnetic field, the element is a pure inductor, and if the energy is stored in electric field, the element is pure capacitor. So by this means you can identify which one is a resistor, which one is an inductor and which one is a capacitor. Now we have to understand the two terms, that is a linear circuit and non-linear circuit. An electric circuit that contains parameter of constant value, that is their value do not change with voltage or current, is called linear circuit. And just opposite of linear circuit there is another term that is called non-linear circuit. An electric circuit that contains parameter whose value change with voltage or current is called non-linear circuit. For example, the current passing through a resistor is proportional to the voltage applied through it, and the relation is expressed denoted as voltage and the product of current, that is denoted as VI, or it can also be denoted as V is equal to IR. If any current is flowing through in the resistance, so there will be some voltage drop, and that voltage drop can be denoted as VI. So due to the current flowing through the resistor, that voltage is equal to what? V is equal to IR. A linear element or network is one which satisfies the principle of superposition and the principle of homogeneity and additivity. So resistors, inductors and capacitors are the example of the linear element, and their properties do not change with the change in the applied voltage and the circuit current. So here you can see in the diagram, as there is a linear relation between voltage and current. So as current is changing, in the same proportional the voltage is going to change. So the curve is coming in the linear. So resistance, inductor and capacitor are the example of the linear element. Now we have to understand what is non-linear element. So non-linear elements VI characteristics do not follow the linear pattern, that is current passing through it does not change linearly with their linear change in the voltage across it, and examples of the non-linear elements are the diode and transistor. Here you can see in the figure that one AC source has been applied across the load, and between the load and the source there is a diode has been connected. So here due to the non-linear property there is a non-linear curve you can see here. So whenever the current flowing through the diode, it is not exactly directly proportional to the voltage. Now we have to understand bilateral circuit. An electrical circuit that possesses the same properties or characteristic in either direction is called bilateral circuit. A transmission line is a bilateral because it can made to perform its function equally well in either direction. Here you can see in the diagram and you can understand. There is a 30 volt voltage source is applied across 5 kilo ohm resistance. So what will be the current? Current can be calculated as I is equal to V upon R. So just 30 divided by 5 kilo ohm. So it will be 0.6 milliampere. Now if you are changing the polarity of the battery, again current will be flow and current will flow through the opposite direction. Again what will be the value of the current? Current will again it will be the 0.6 milliampere. That means if you are changing the polarity of the voltage source, the current is always flowing through the resistance either in one direction or in another direction. So this resistance is an example of the bilateral circuit. Now we have to understand what is a unilateral circuit. An electrical circuit whose properties or characteristics change with the direction of its operation is called unilateral circuit. A diode rectified circuit is a unilateral circuit because it cannot perform similarly in both the direction. So as you know, diode is it is like a PN junction diode, and it works in the only when it is forward bias. Forward bias means what? When its P terminal is connected to the positive side of the battery and N side is connected to the negative side of the battery. So in positive half cycle of the supply only it will work, and when the second cycle comes, that means polarity change, that current does not flow through this resistance. So this is an example of the unilateral circuit. Now we have to understand different terms like node, junction, mesh, loop, because we have to analyze the circuit. That means we have to find out the value of the voltage, we have to find the value of the current, we have to find the resistance, inductance, capacitance. So we have to discuss the different theorems like Thevenin theorem, Norton theorem, superposition theorem. At the same time, we have to also discuss the KVL, KCL. So before going to discuss all these theorems, we have to understand some basic terms associated with the circuit, like node. So what is a node? A node is a point in the network or circuit where two or more circuit elements are joined. For example, in this circuit diagram, A and B is the node point. Here you can see, because there is a two elements are connected between this node, and just very close to node there is another term that is defined, that is called junction. So we have to understand what is a junction. A junction is a point in the network where three or more circuit elements are joined. It is a point where the current is divided. In the above circuit, B and D are the junction. So here you can see the difference between node and junction. So what is a node? Node is a point in the network or circuit where two or more circuit elements are joined, and junction is a point in the network where three or more circuit elements are joined. So this is a basic difference between node and junction, and you have to see that a junction must be a node, but node may or may not be a junction. So this is a difference between node and junction. Now we have to understand the branch. What is a branch? The part of a network which lies between two junction points is called branch. In the above circuit, DAB, BCD and BD are the branches of the circuit. Here you can see in the diagram. So between terminal A and B there is one resistance R1 is connected. So this may be also a branch. If you are talking about the ABDA, so here you can see the ABDA is also a one branch, and between two nodes, that is B and C, the one resistance R2 is also be termed as a branch, and BCDB, this is also a branch. Now we have to understand what is a loop. A closed path of network is called loop. So here you can see ABDA and BCDB are the loop in the given circuit. Now we have to again understand about the loop. A loop is any closed path going through circuit element. To draw a loop, select any node as a starting point and draw a path through elements and nodes until the path come back to the node where you started. So there is only one rule to make a loop. A loop can visit a node only one time, right? It is okay if loops overlap or contain other loop. Some of the loops in the circuit are shown here. So here you can see there are number of loops are there. So there is a first loop, there is a first loop, and in the middle part you can see there is a second loop, and in the third and the last is a third loop. And so here you can see there is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There is a 6 loops in this circle are shown. Now we have to understand what is a mesh. A mesh is a loop that has no other loop inside it. So you can think of this is one mesh for each open window of a circuit. Here you can see in the figure, or the most elementary form of loop which cannot be further divided is called mesh. Now we have to understand what is a reference node. During circuit analysis, we usually pick one of the node in the circuit to be the reference node. Voltage at other nodes are measured relative to the reference node. Any node can be the reference, but two common choices that simplify the circuit analysis are the negative terminal of the voltage or current source powering the circuit, or the node connected to the greatest number of the branches is usually taken as a reference node, or it is also denoted as a ground node. Now we have to understand what is a ground. The reference node is often referred to as ground. The concept of the ground has three important meanings. First is ground is a reference point from which voltage are measured, and second one, the return path for electric current back to its source, and third can be understood a direct physical connection to the earth, which is important for the safety. Ground node gets its name from the third meaning, but other two are equally important. You will come across various symbols for the ground. Here you can see how the ground are denoted in the different type of circuits. Now, as I already discussed, there are different type of energy sources, and these energy sources may be the voltage source and may be the current source. The source may be either a DC direct current source or an AC, that is alternating current source. So what is a DC source? Any device that produces direct voltage output continuously is called DC source. That means if magnitude of voltage or current doesn't change with respect to the time, that is called DC source. Some of the commonly used DC sources are the batteries, DC generators, and the DC power supplies. And DC power supply is also called regulated power supply. So these are the example of the DC sources. Now we have to understand what is the AC sources. Any device that produces alternating voltage output continuously is called an AC source. That means if magnitude of the voltage or current changing with respect to the time, that is called AC source. It may be from 0 to maximum, then maximum to 0, then 0 to negative maximum, then negative maximum to 0. Some of the commonly used AC sources are alternators, oscillator, or signal generator. Now we have to understand what are the internal resistance of the sources. So the opposition to the load current inside the DC source is called its internal resistance. So every energy source is either it is a voltage source or current source, it will always have some internal resistances. So all DC sources like battery, DC generator, or rectifier type circuit have internal resistance, and generally it is represented by R suffix I. The equivalent circuit of DC source is the generated EMF, that is it is denoted by capital E, is in series with the internal resistance R suffix I of the source as shown in the figure. So here you can see there is a voltage source denoted by E, and the internal resistance I is connected in series of the battery, or in case of the generator also. Here in the another figure you can see the DC source on the load. That means there is a DC source which have energy voltage is E and internal resistance I, and this DC source is connected to the load resistance RL. So this voltage B is equal to what? This voltage B, or you can say terminal voltage across the load resistance, is equal to what? Generated voltage E minus voltage drop occurs in the internal resistance of the sources. That means E minus I into Ri, where I is the current flowing through the circuit. So here you can see the load current can be written as equal to E, that is a supplied voltage, divided by the total resistance of the circuit. And what is the total resistance of the circuit? That means internal resistance of the energy sources plus load resistance of the circuit. So I is equal to what? E upon Ri plus RL. Now we have to find out the terminal voltage. What will be the terminal voltage? So terminal voltage can be calculated V is equal to E minus I into Ri, and this I minus IRI is basically what? This is voltage drop across the internal resistance of the circuit. Or this can also be calculated whatever the current flowing through the load resistance. So this product of current and multiplied by the load resistance is also the terminal voltage. So terminal voltage is equal to what? Is equal to the I into RL, and I is what? I is equal to E upon Ri plus RL. So just put the value of I in this particular equation. So here what will be the terminal voltage? Terminal voltage is equal to E upon Ri plus RL multiplied by RL. Or it can be simplified, or it can be written as E upon 1 plus Ri upon RL. So here you can see the voltage across the load terminal is reduced because of the voltage drop in the internal resistance of the source. And a source having a smaller internal resistance will have a smaller voltage drop, because because all the internal resistance are connected in the series. So as the value of the current will increase, that means this product of current multiplied by load resistance will also increase. So whatever the voltage that you want to get at the terminal will be decreased. So what should be the internal resistance? Internal resistance of the any source, it should be the minimum in case of the voltage source. Now we have to understand ideal voltage source. So ideal voltage source's name is indicating, that means whatever the voltage is being generated through the energy sources, it should be reached to the terminal side or the consumer side. That means if terminal voltage is equal to the supplied voltage of voltage source, then it will be called the ideal voltage source. Or a voltage source that has zero internal resistance is called an ideal voltage source. In such cases, the terminal voltage remains the same irrespective of the value of the load resistance. That means if value of the load current is increasing, so because there is no internal resistance, so there is no drop across the internal resistance of the circuit. So whatever the voltage you are getting at the terminal side is equal to the voltage supplied by the voltage source. And this terminal voltage can also be calculated as V is equal to E upon 1 plus Ri upon RL. So as I am saying that internal resistance of ideal voltage source is 0. So 1 plus Ri upon RL, that means Ri is 0. So V is equal to what? V is equal to E upon 1 plus 0 upon RL, that means V is equal to E. That means terminal voltage is equal to the supplied voltage of the voltage source. So it will be called ideal voltage source. Now we have to understand what is the practical voltage source. So just opposite of practical ideal source voltage source, there is a practical voltage source. That means practical voltage source will have some internal resistance also. So ideal voltage source is not the practically possible, because if it would exist, it would supply an infinite current at the short circuit, which is not possible. Therefore, all the voltage source have some internal resistance that limits the current at short circuit. A practical voltage source is shown in the figure. So basically what happens, suppose across the terminal A and B, and you are just making a short circuit by any means. So that means there is a net resistance across the circuit is equal to 0. So resistance is 0 of the circuit and voltage is E. So what will be the current? I is equal to E upon R. So total resistance of the circuit is 0. So that moment what will be the current? Current will be the infinite, or you can say it is the maximum current. So if there is will be the maximum current, so this circuit may be damaged. So it is advised all the energy source, or you can say voltage source, must have some internal resistance so that if by any means some short circuit happens, so damage may be avoided. However, it is always preferred to have a source that has very small internal resistance, so that the terminal voltage of the source remains almost constant from no load to full load. A voltage source that has very low internal resistance as compared to the load resistance is known as constant voltage source. Now we have to understand what is the difference between voltage source and current source. Basically, there is no difference between voltage source and current source. In fact, source can either be considered as a voltage source or as a current source. When the value of the load resistance is very large as compared to the internal resistance of the source is treated as voltage source. However, when the voltage of the load resistance is very small as compared to the internal resistance of the source is treated as current source. Now we have to learn how you can convert voltage source into current source and current source into voltage source. So first we will discuss how the voltage source can be converted into current source. So first of all, find the internal resistance of the voltage source and keep this resistor in parallel with the current source. Here you can see in the figure. And then determine the current flow provided by the current source by applying the Ohm's law, because applied voltage is V suffix Z and the internal resistance, or you can say series resistance, is RS. So what will be the value of this IS? IS is equal to BS upon RS. So just you connect the series resistance of the voltage source in parallel to the current source. So in this figure, voltage source with the resistance R is transformed into an equivalent current source with the parallel resistance RS. So IS is equal to VS upon RS. So this is how you can convert voltage source into current source. Now we have to see how you can convert current source to the voltage source. So converting to voltage source into current source, first of all you find the parallel resistance of the constant current source and place in series with the voltage source. Then determine the open circuit voltage value of the voltage source by applying the Ohm's law. That is, what will be the value of that this supply voltage Vs? Vs is equal to what? The current, that is Is, multiplied by the resistance Rs. So this is how you can convert current source into voltage source and voltage source into current source. This technique will be very useful to simplify the different circuit. So there may be the such circuit that may have the voltage source and current source. So in that circuit, what you have to do, either you convert voltage source into current source or you convert current into voltage source. Ideal current source. A current source that supplies a constant current no matter whatever is the load resistance is known as ideal current source. A symbolic representation of such an ideal current source is shown in the current supplied by the source should remain constant at all values of the load resistance. Current source is a source that has high internal resistance. Here you can see in the diagram. So if the load current is changing, there is no effect on the source current. That means value of the source current is constant if you are changing the value of the load current. Now we have to understand what is a practical current source. An ideal current source is not practically possible. It would supply a constant current even at no load, which is not possible. A real current source is basically a voltage source that delivers almost the same current at all values of the load resistance. A source that has very high internal resistance as compared to the load resistance is considered as constant current source. A real current source having an internal resistance of 10 mega ohm with a load resistance which is denoted as R suffix L is shown in the figure. When load resistance varies from 1 kilo ohm to 100 kilo ohm, the current varies from only 1.19988 microampere to 1.1881 microampere. So there is no as such big effect on the change on the load current. This shows that load current remains almost constant and the source behaves as a constant current source irrespective of the value of the load resistance. Now we have to understand the two basic law which is applied in any electrical circuit, that is a Kirchhoff's current law and Kirchhoff's voltage law. So first of all, we will discuss about the Kirchhoff's current law. Kirchhoff's current law states that algebraic sum of all the current at any node or point or junction of a circuit is 0. That means sigma I is equal to 0. That means algebraic sum of current at any particular node or junction is equal to 0. So here you can see in the figure, considering the different current like I1, I2 is a incoming current, and I6 is also incoming current, and I3, I4 and I5 is a outgoing current. So algebraic sum of current is equal to 0. That means I1 plus I2 plus I6 minus I3 minus I4 minus I5 is equal to 0. Or you can say the incoming current is equal to the outgoing current. So I1 plus I2 plus I6 is equal to I3 plus I4 plus I5. So Kirchhoff's current law states that algebraic sum of current at any particular node or junction is equal to 0. So next and last topic of this particular session is Kirchhoff's voltage law. Kirchhoff's voltage law states that the algebraic sum of all the voltage around any closed loop in a circuit is equal to 0. In another word, you can also understand the Kirchhoff's voltage law. The algebraic sum of all the potential difference around the loop must be equal to 0, or you can say algebraic sum of the voltage across the loop or mesh is equal to 0. Here that the term algebraic sum means to take into account the polarities and signs of the source and the voltage drop around the loop. So when applying the Kirchhoff's voltage law to a specific circuit element, it is very important that we pay special attention to the algebraic sign, that is plus and minus of the voltage drop across the element and the EMFs of the source. Otherwise our calculation may be wrong. But before we look more closely at Kirchhoff's voltage law, let us first understand the voltage drop across single element such a resistor. So here you can see there is a one resistance has been shown, which is denoted by the R, and there is a one voltage has been applied across terminal A and B. So if current I is flowing from A to B, so what will the voltage drop across this resistance? It will be the V is equal to IR. So polarity you can see here. So this V can be denoted as minus I into R. So this is how you have to apply the KVL in any circuit. So here just I am taking one example to make you understand how you can apply the KVL. So there is a one voltage source which is denoted as Vs. There is a two resistive element, that is R1 and R2 are connected in series with the voltage source. So here we are assuming that one loop current is flowing, that current can be denoted as I. So this loop current is also a branch current, because there is only one loop here. So minus to plus you can treat as a positive voltage. So minus to plus is a plus, that is Vs. Then current is flowing through this resistance R1, so there will be a drop. So drop can be denoted as plus to minus. So it can be written as Vs minus I into R1. Then again there is another drop, that due to the resistance I2. So it can be denoted as minus I into R1. So net voltage can be written as Vs minus IR1 minus IR2 is equal to 0. So after simplification you can write Vs is equal to IR1 plus IR2, or you can write Vs is equal to I in bracket R1 plus R2. So this is a very simple KVL and KCL which you can apply in any electrical circuit to find the value of the voltage or to find the value of the current in any circuit. So this is all about the KCL and KVL. In the next lecture we will discuss about the what is the mesh analysis, what is the node analysis. If you have any query, you can write email at sanjay.agrawal@igno.ac.in. Thank you so much.